Good morning, everyone. Once again, this is Rav Jared Anstandik, and this is part 3 of our 3-part series exploring the mitzvah of Lotit Go to Do from the Torah to the rabbis. Yesterday, we delved a little bit further into the notion that the prohibition of Lotit Go to Do means that we are permitted to divide ourselves up into different factions, into different groups. And in the end, I asked the question of why. What's so wrong with there being such a diversity of opinions in Judaism? This, ironically, is subject to a dispute between Rashi and Rambam. Rashi, 11th century France, in his comment to Yevamot 13b suggests, Lo tasu agadot agadot, why not make multiple factions? Denira kenohagin shtei Torot, because it looks like there are 2 Torahs. The problem when I do one thing and you do something else is that it looks like we're each following our own Torah, which means there are 2 Torahs. That, Rashi says, is a problem. Rambam, 12th century Egypt, he says something else. He says, Shedavar zeh gorem lemachlokot gedolot. When there is me doing me and you doing you, it leads to great division. It leads to great arguments, right? I'm going to constantly want to prove to you why I'm right and you're wrong. You're going to want to constantly prove to me why you're right and I'm wrong. We're never going to get along. And so there's going to be constant fighting. It's going to just devolve into chaos. So Rambam says this is why it's a problem. And so it looks like there's this machloket between Rashi and Rambam. For Rashi, whether we can agree to disagree or not, it's a problem. Because I'm going to be doing something that you're not going to be doing. You're going to be doing something that I'm not going to be doing. We don't have a unified front. That looks bad. For Rambam, it's not about how it looks. It's really an issue of practicality. If we can find a way to agree to disagree, then presumably, according to Rambam, there shouldn't be a problem. The only time it's a problem is if we're never going to get along and we're going to constantly be fighting against one another. And this, Rashi versus Rambam, is the way that many, if not most, understand this mitzvah of Lotit Go to Do. Yet, Rabbi Asher Weiss, a contemporary Rosh Kollel, Rosh Yeshiva in Israel, he suggests that even though it looks like Rashi and Rambam are giving different explanations, they really are saying the same thing. And he points to a passage in the Gemara in the Talmud Masechet Sanhedrin 88b. The Gemara says, Mishirabu Talmidei Shammai veHillel shelo shimshu kol tzorkan. Once the disciples of Shammai and Hillel grew in number, and these students were ones who did not attend to their masters appropriately. Rabu machlokot beYisrael v'nasit Torah kishtei Torot. Dispute proliferated among the Jewish people, and the Torah became like 2 Torahs. According to Rav Weiss, Rashi and Rambam aren't arguing at all. They are both speaking the same idea, though they are using different language. Rashi uses the language of 2 Torahs, Rambam uses the language of proliferation of dispute, but they are both saying the same thing. In his own words, he writes in Minchat Asher, Nira Pashut, Delo Nechlaku Rashi ve'Rambam. It seems obvious that there is no real disagreement between Rashi and Rambam. Klal v'ikar, not at all. U'shnehem nitnabu b'siknon echad, u'dvarim achadim hem af sheb'shnei lashno yidabru. Even though they might be using different language from one another, they're both speaking to the same idea. I believe that this idea of Rav Weiss is a powerful one. What Rav Weiss is offering us here is that when we experience disagreement, and when we feel as though we are on completely different ground than someone else, and we believe there couldn't possibly be a way that we could collaborate or agree on anything, still, maybe it's possible, if we look just a little bit closer, that maybe we are actually saying Dvarim Achadim. Maybe we're actually saying the same idea, albeit Bishnei Lashonot, even if we're using different words. As we draw closer to the month of Tishrei and to Rosh Hashanah, and we think about our interactions with one another, it's helpful to keep in mind that built into the mitzvah of lo titgo to do is the lesson that no matter how deep our differences appear, we often have the same goals, and really, we're all playing for the same team. When we have that realization, when we have that recognition, then all the petty disagreements and disputes seem to melt away and become unimportant. Thank you so much for learning with me over the last few days, and I hope you have a greater understanding of the mitzvah of lo titgo to do from the Torah to the rabbis. Have a great day, and I look forward to learning with you in person very soon.